Your end of day market recap for Wednesday, February 18th. You could probably see some good and bad on your screens, but more things went up today, and breadth was pretty good. Up about New York Stock Exchange up volume was finished up about 66%. Which is still pretty good. Not nearly as good as it was in the middle of the day, and that's kind of been the theme of what we've been seeing as of late with some market fades, which is basically what we got again today. So, looking at the averages, they did finish all in the green today. SPY finished up 0.5%. Qs outperformed up 0.75%. Small caps finished up 0.4. The Dow also finished up 0.2 of a percentage point. Bonds were down today. They sold off on a 20-year bond auction that did not have that much demand. Bitcoin was down 2.2%. Gold was up 2.2%, and silver had a nice bounce today. It was up 5.6% today, and the VIX was down 3.3% today. So it's one of those situations where if you are capturing, some of the beginning of the day's moves, or if you're selling into the strength, that is probably best right now in this market. Let's go to the charts here just for a second. And looking at the issue that we have right now with SPY is that again, you can kind of take the good with the bad. The good is that the market is still kind of holding this lower, holding and bouncing from the lower side of this range. But this was a rejection today at 687.11, which is the bottom of the value area for the month of February. Also, what lines up very close with that bottom of value area is the 50-day moving average, which I saw a lot of people noting that today was a rejection at the 50-day moving average. So that's the main story today. I mean, other than we have this overhang of what's going on in the Middle East, where more forces are being sent there. Crude was up 4% today. It did not close on the highs, and we could go over a few charts in that area, but it doesn't feel. I mean, the dollar was another issue today, which was very strong. So there's definitely some issues, and even if this situation clears up in Iran, it will be interesting to see if these markets could actually do something more than just kind of get to the bottom of the range here. But here's where we are. The 687.11 is that level to watch. And I noted this 200 period moving average. You could see how that's important. You could see that last week when I think this is last week when we got above here in the beginning of the week. Is kind of sticky here, and then we couldn't get out of the value area for the month, and then we fell back, and now we're having some issues with overhead supply. The Qs are going to be a little bit of a different animal because these have gotten hit harder. Let's just bring this back into focus here for the Qs. Yes, we bounced off the support here. This kind of looks like a double bottom, but we really haven't gone anywhere. Now, we did close above the 5-period moving average, so I give that a small positive, but a lot of overhead stuff to get through. Could this be a W pattern? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Here's what this looks like. We did stay inside value for the week. That's that blue box here. So that's what that looks like. And then IWM got off to again, just acting a little bit different. Let's go to the daily chart, but almost got to the top of the value area for the month and just couldn't get there. Still kind of locked in a little bit of consolidation, also lower highs. So not a great look there for IWM either. So again, just kind of giving you the sense of like what's been going on is that we just can't seem to really, like, when the market is strong in the morning, there's little to no follow through, or there's a lot of fading, and that's kind of what you got going on here for the day. I mentioned crude. Bring up a chart here of crude. By the way, this was another day that actually growth outperformed. Here's the chart of crude. So again, it's still in this range. Didn't close on the highs of the day, but still pretty pretty full green bar. Here's what energy stocks look like. Here's XLE, which is staying above the 5-period moving, or got back above the 5-period moving average after, obviously a very good start this year. Here's XOP, also back above the 5-period moving average. Looks like it's putting in some type of a bull flag, and then OIH, which did the best today and made a new high. New all-time high today for the oil services ETF. Just looking at a couple other factors, the dollar. I would definitely be paying attention to the dollar here. That's a pretty big move for the dollar today, up 0.6 of a percentage point. And it's basically right around where we were a couple of weeks ago with this big snapback. Look at this on the weekly chart as well. Still not any, still sideways, but I would still keep an eye on it to see what the dollar does. Bonds were down today. I was really a fan of what the bonds were doing last week, but there really, so far this week, hasn't been any follow through. As I mentioned, that there was a weak demand 20-year bond auction today, which drove prices down, which were kind of like flat going into that auction, but down 0.4 of a percentage point for the day, and still kind of in this sideways, but so far they're still staying above the value area. Just to kind of go over a couple other areas that I thought were showing a little bit of strength earlier. The semiconductors, they did not close on the high. We have this, possible double top in here. I'd like to see that being taken out. This was not again, good day, up 1.2%, but not a very strong looking candle for the day. A couple of things that I was watching today was Western Digital. Again, nice move higher. Lam Research saw a big call buyer today. That this is also doing okay. It's above the 5-period moving average. SanDisk had that secondary yesterday and was up 1.6% today, but still looks like it's kind of in a consolidation period right now. Micron had a nice day today, was up 5%, managed to kind of stay above this value area for the month. Nvidia, I would keep an eye on. Maybe let's see if the stock wants to run into its earnings report. But first things first, I would watch 191.90 to see if that breaks above the value area. Just looking at gold and silver, I mentioned those outperformed, but keep in mind those things, they sold off. So this does not get you back above the 5 or the 20, maybe just right at the 5-day moving average. And here's silver, which has looked a little bit weaker, but was a little bit stronger today. Holding support in here, maybe we'll in a consolidation period. Also, XME, metals and mining, holds the trend, stays above the 50-day moving average, but does not get back into the value area for the month. That XME level is 118.24. I traded, as I think I mentioned yesterday, ITA, that tacked on some gains today, up 0.9 of a percentage point. A couple other things that I'm watching, just some Monster Beverage. I got long this yesterday on the break of the value area. Again, it's very hard to trade breakouts right now. So, I'm doing it with, tiny positions at this point. That's Monster Beverage. What else? NXT. I put on a position and it worked. It worked from that entry point that I got into, and it actually traded above north of 128. But then it fall back. Now, I didn't take the position off because it's still hanging above. It's a possible breakout. Remember, this name had strong earnings, and then it's just been consolidating a bit back and forth. Solar names have been tough, so I would keep that in mind. But I did take 2 targets in this today, just because you just don't know how things are going to look. In the first couple hours of the day, they look great, and then by the end of the day, they look like a completely different picture. So. Yeah. So that's it for today's video. I think, being patient here, not getting too caught up in this price action. The more caught up that you're going to get in this price action, probably the more frustrated you're going to be. So in my opinion, it's better to be trading less. I didn't do much today. I traded very little today because after the first hour of the day, I just was very skeptical that we were going to hold in there for the day. We just haven't been doing it. So I'd rather have these markets prove me wrong a bit. Here's the 5 minute. Right. So we got to about 1 o'clock and then started to move down. A couple of things that, by the way, like I think that there's got a lot more negatives for the FANG stocks, the Mag 7. These things can bounce. I've never said that they couldn't bounce, by the way. I'm just not really playing the bounces for these. I would rather play the names that they're spending all that money in, versus the big capex that they're doing. So that's fine that these things are bouncing. I'm just not really participating in them, and because I don't think that the bounces will be long